All right, I'm gonna do a video answer key for you so you can see the answers a little bit better. All right, difference of two squares. This is the first section. So we did some examples on number 10 and 11 on the back side. I'm writing the square roots below each piece. And then you've got plus, minus, x plus 5, x minus 5. Number 2, those are the square roots, x plus 3, x minus 3. Okay, this one, x and 9 are the square roots, so it's x plus 9, x minus 9. It's a pretty easy pattern, really. You just have to recognize it. Okay, the square roots, x plus 7, x minus 7, x and 6, x plus 6, x minus 6. Notice there's no GCFs in any of these. So I'm really checking first, so you really have to watch that carefully. 3x is the square root of 9x squared, because 3 is the square root of 9, x is the square root of x squared. So this one is 3x plus 4, 3x minus 4. Number 7, the square root of 1 is 1. So x plus 1, x minus 1. Number 8, let's see, that's 3. 8x, 8x plus 3, 8x minus 3. And number 9, let's see, 12x, and 13 is the square root of 169, so 12x plus 13, 12x minus 13. Okay, then we did 10 and 11 together, so they're right there. And then number 12, we have 5x and 3 is the square roots, 5x plus 3, 5x minus 3. Okay, now the next section says factor out a GCF if necessary, so we really have to watch for it. On number 13, 4 goes into 8 and 12. 4 is the biggest factor that's in common to both of those. There isn't an x in the second term, so x is not part of the GCF. So just 4. Now you have to first pull out the GCF. 4 times what gives me 8x squared? 2x squared. Minus 4 times what gives you 12? 3. That's the first step. That's the GCF step. Now you have to look at this and see if this can be broken down any farther. 3 doesn't have a square root, neither does 2. And so that's as far as it goes. Okay, number 14, 81 is a square and x squared is a square, but it's not the difference between two squares. This is the sum of two squares because there's a plus sign. There's no GCF. It's not the difference of two squares. It can't be a perfect square. I can't do anything at all. And if you can't do anything at all, you're gonna say prime. Okay, number 16, there's no GCF. So, but both of these are squares and there's a minus between them. So this is the difference between two squares. So it's 4x plus 5, 4x minus 5. Okay, backside. Okay, let's see. I can pull out again. Did we just do this exact problem? 12x squared minus 8? Oh no, it looks like the other one. But I can pull out a 4 as a GCF. So 4 times 3x squared minus 2. just if you distribute this back out, you should get what you started with. 4 times 3x squared is 12x squared. Minus minus. 4 times 2 is 8. Okay, GCF step. Now I'm looking at this to see, I'm at step 2. Step 2 says look for a special pattern. This is not the difference between two squares. 2 does not have a square root. You can take half of it, but that doesn't mean it has a square root. And neither does 3. So that's the end of the road there. Okay, this guy, I can divide both by 2. So 2 is the common factor, the greatest common factor. So for the GCF step, I'm going to pull out a 2, and only a 2. I can't pull out any x's because that term doesn't have any x. X is not in common. So 2 times 9x squared minus 4. Now looking at this, this is the difference between two squares. Square root, got to keep the GCF in your answer, and then you get 3x plus 2, 3x minus 2. Number 18. 2 goes into both of these, and nothing bigger. So there's a GCF. I'm going to pull out a 2, and I get 25x squared plus 4. Well, I've got two squares here, but there's a plus between them and not a minus. So this is not the difference between two squares. This is the sum of two squares, but that's not a pattern. So this is the end. Number 19, I can pull out a 4. That is the greatest common factor. 4, and that leaves me with 4x squared minus 1. All right, that is the difference between two squares. The square root of 1 is 1. This square root is 2x. Keep the GCF. 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1. Okay, number 20, I can pull out a 7. So the GCF step, 7 gives me 2x squared minus 1. Okay, the temptation is to think the square root is 1x, but 2 doesn't have a square root. You can cut it in half, but that doesn't mean the same thing. So because 2 doesn't have a square root, this is not a square. So that's not the difference between two squares. That means that's the answer. 21, I can pull out a 25, and I get x squared minus 2. 2 doesn't have a square root, so this does not break any farther. That's the end. 22, see, 3 goes into both of these, and that's it. So the GCF, pulling out a 3, 4x squared minus 9. Step 1. Now step 2, this is the difference between two squares. Here are the square roots. So it's 3, 2x plus 3, 2x minus 3. 23, I can pull out a 5. Wait. Yep, that's it. So the GCF, pulling out a 5, gives me 5x squared minus 2. Okay, 5 doesn't have a square root, and neither does 2. So I can't do anything else with that. And the rest of them we did in the other video. So these are the answers. Basically, you should have 4 freebies on the back and a couple on the front. And that's it.